I mean, it's crazy, you know, the way they're playing me, the way they're playing Dez out there. I just think we're reading the game right now, high level.
Picture this: a glass fortress above Memphis, valued in the 8 figures, where rhythm meets royalty. Inside lives Jaren Jackson Jr., NBA All-Star, Defensive Player of the Year, and the league's quiet architect of art and dominance. He doesn't just block shots, he builds symphonies. Each movement on the hardwood is precision, balance, and design. Son of an NBA veteran, student of discipline, master of detail. Jaren turned expectation into expression, transforming the court into his canvas. Because for him, greatness isn't noise, it's composition. So the question isn't how high he can rise, it's how timeless his rhythm will sound. Before the lights of Memphis, before the million-dollar murals and marble courts, there was a kid chasing a bouncing ball through the cold. Born in Plainfield, New Jersey, raised between Indiana and Michigan, Jaren Walter Jackson Jr. grew up surrounded by the rhythm of the game. His father, Jaren Jackson Sr., had already lived the NBA dream of becoming a champion with the San Antonio Spurs. His mother, Terry Jackson, a force of nature herself, executive director of the Women's National Basketball Players Association, the voice behind countless players' rights and reforms. Together, they raised him not just to play, but to understand purpose. In a city where cold winds cut through dreams, a young Jaren learned warmth through focus. His world wasn't built on comfort. It was built on consistency. Early mornings in the gym before sunrise. Late nights sketching sneakers and court lines in his notebooks. Basketball was muscle memory, but art was instinct. His mother remembers. Even when he wasn't practicing, he was creating, drawing, designing, thinking. That creative streak would become the thread through everything. His defense, his rhythm, his voice. But in those early years, creativity didn't always earn applause. The world expected him to be his father, strong, sharp, relentless. And for a while, he tried to fit that mold. Every drill came with expectation. Every game with comparison. "You're Jaren's boy," they'd say. And for a teenager trying to find himself, those words cut deep. He wasn't just chasing a dream, he was outrunning a legacy. Pressure didn't break him, it carved him. In silence, he learned rhythm. In struggle, he found patience. When friends were out celebrating, he stayed behind, repeating the same shot, the same motion, again and again, until it sounded like a song. That repetition wasn't punishment, it was poetry. At Park Tudor School in Indianapolis, the spark began to shine. Coaches saw not just height or skill, but composure, the way he read plays before they happened, the calm that followed mistakes. By his senior year, Jaren wasn't just playing basketball. He was directing it. And yet, the pressure followed. Scouts whispered. Headlines compared. Will he live up to his father's name? But those close to him noticed something else. The way he looked at the game differently. For Jaren, basketball wasn't about domination. It was about design. Every move had geometry. Every block, timing, every rebound, rhythm. He once told a coach, "I see patterns when I play. It's like painting in motion." It was that vision that set him apart. Even in high school tournaments, when the noise was loudest, his game spoke softly, elegantly, controlled, and intentionally. But behind that elegance was a silent battle, living in the shadow of two powerful parents, both symbols of excellence. Every step forward came with the echo of comparison. His mom pushed him to lead. His dad pushed him to win. And somewhere in between, Jaren began pushing himself to be. At home, dinner conversations were never just about basketball. They were about responsibility, representation, resilience. Terry Jackson would remind him, "Your name means something. Use it with purpose." And he did. In the halls of Park Tudor, Jaren wasn't the loudest voice, but he was always the most intentional. He volunteered at local clinics, tutored younger kids, and spent hours talking about mental focus and meditation before most teens even knew what that meant. He wasn't chasing clout. He was studying character, Basketball was the rhythm, but discipline was the beat. By the time college recruiters came knocking, Jaren had already built something more valuable than a mindset, one built on patience, preparation, and peace. Still, the question lingered, one that every legacy child faces. What happens when the son of a champion must prove he can become one himself? In that silence, a new story began, not of imitation, but of innovation, because Jaren Jackson Jr. wasn't born just to follow footsteps. He was born to leave new ones. When Jaren Jackson Jr. stepped onto the court at Michigan State, he wasn't just another tall freshman with promise. He was a student of movement. Under Coach Tom Izzo, he studied defense the way musicians study notes. Timing, space, angles. Every step was rhythm. Every block, a beat. His hands didn't just protect the rim. They composed silence. Teammates called him calm, unshakable. Even in chaos, his mind moved slower and sharper than everyone else's. Scouts wrote phrases like elite instincts, rare feel, natural leader. They weren't exaggerating. At just 18, Jaren became one of the youngest players in college basketball history to record over 100 blocks in a season. Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year, a double crown most veterans never touch. But he didn't chase numbers. He chased nuance. He wasn't hunting highlight reels. He was mastering geometry. While others fought to score, Jaren studied how to stop. Because to him, defense wasn't a reaction. It was rhythm. He was building foundations long before fame came knocking. When his name was called 4th overall pick, Memphis Grizzlies, it wasn't just a dream realized. It was a renewed legacy. Memphis, a city built on soul and struggle, was about to meet its next rhythm maker. They called it Grit and Grind 2.0. Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, and Jaren the Anchor, the defender who made chaos look like choreography. From his first season, his presence was magnetic. He didn't yell, he didn't flex, he balanced the floor. Analysts said it best. While others chased stats, Jaren chased stops, and those stops turned into statements. Every rejection was punctuation. Every recovery, poetry. He played defense like an artist sketches deliberate, patient, spiritual. By 2023, Jaren Jackson Jr. stood crowned as the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year, the youngest in Memphis history to do it, and one of the youngest ever to hold that title league-wide. But numbers don't tell his story. Mindset does. He once said, "Defense is the most honest art form. You can't fake effort." That line became his code. Every contest, every block, every calm breath under pressure, it all came from discipline. He didn't need noise to dominate. He controlled tempo by refusing to rush. Even when guarding giants Jokic, Giannis, Tatum, he moved like a quiet storm. No fear, no flash, just flow. And when the crowd erupted, he just smiled. Because to Jaren, chaos was comfort. Together, they turned Memphis into a movement. Ja brought fireworks. Jaren brought the foundation. While Morant's explosiveness made headlines, Jaren's discipline built history. He wasn't just defending the rim, he was defending culture. In a city known for soul, he embodied its rhythm, grounded, creative, unshakably real. He once described defense as a conversation. Offense talks. Defense listens, then answers. That philosophy made him more than a player. It made him a thinker. His game transcended the NBA. Representing Team USA, Jaren showed the world what Memphis already knew. His craft wasn't local, it was global. An all-defensive selection, an all-star, a cornerstone of culture. But off the court, his artistry took another form. When the lights go out, Jaren paints. Not for attention, but alignment. Each canvas echoes the same balance he brings to the game. Patience, timing, texture. He once said, "Painting is like defense. You wait, react, and let instinct take over." That calm carried through everything: his fashion, his music, his presence. His closet isn't about excess. It's about editing. Balenciaga with purpose. Cartier with restraint. Elegance. Quiet and intentional. Teammates often find him sketching or journaling before games, headphones on, world tuned out. Meditation isn't a habit, it's home. He calls it resetting the rhythm, because when your life moves at the speed of the NBA, silence becomes sacred. That stillness didn't make him soft, it made him sharp. In a league full of loud personalities and endless social feeds, his quiet became power. His balance became his brand. He was redefining modern athleticism. Not just power, but presence. Not just speed, but spirit. But peace doesn't mean the path was painless. Injuries tested his faith. Surgeries tested his patience. Each setback became a lesson in rebuilding physically, mentally, spiritually. He didn't see scars as flaws. He saw them as art lines in the sculpture of resilience. So when he finally held that Defensive Player of the Year trophy, there were no screams, no dances, just a quiet smile, the kind that says, "I earned this." That moment wasn't about validation. It was about evolution. The trophy wasn't metal, it was memory. He once said, "I'm not here to prove I can be my dad. I'm here to prove I can be myself." And that's exactly what he did. Jaren Jackson Jr. didn't just rise, he redefined what rising looked like. He turned defense into design, effort into elegance, basketball into art. So ask yourself, would you rather be remembered for scoring the most or for stopping the best? Because for Jaren, the next chapter isn't about dominance. It's about designing peace. There's luxury, and then there's Jaren Jackson Jr. luxury. Not the kind that screams, but the kind that breathes. The kind that sits quietly on a Memphis hill, surrounded by trees, water, and stillness. His mansion, valued in the 8 figures, isn't just real estate. It's rhythm made tangible. A sanctuary where design meets discipline. Every inch of the space reflects intention. From curved glass walls opening to panoramic views of the Mississippi, to the subtle play of light that shifts with each hour. It's a home that evolves, just like its owner. Inside, balance hums like a heartbeat. African-inspired art pieces anchor the walls. Textured marble captures glimmers of sunset gold. Warm wood meets muted stone. Every material tells a story of heritage, patience, and soul. There's a stillness to the space, a rhythm that moves like music, smooth, layered, intentional. The main living area opens like a stage. Floor-to-ceiling windows invite the skyline inside. The furniture is modern but soulful, crafted by hand, not mass-produced. You don't just walk through Jaren's house, you listen to it. Every sound, the creak of wood, the whisper of breeze feels orchestrated. He calls it a living canvas. Every corner carries a trace of who he is, the player, the painter, the thinker. The house blends modern minimalism with Memphis warmth, a visual echo of his duality. Because Jaren Jackson Jr. isn't just a defender on the court, he's a designer of peace off it. His favorite space? The studio is a wide, sunlit room overlooking his backyard court. Here, he paints between practices, finding rhythm and color. Some canvases reveal abstract emotion, others, still lifes shaped by memory. The air smells of acrylic and incense. Soft jazz always floats in the background. He says painting keeps him centered. Then, there's the court, a temple beneath the stars. Custom maple floors, soundproofed walls, lighting that shifts by mood. It's both a playground and a meditation space. Some nights, he trains past midnight. Other nights, he walks in barefoot, letting silence echo. Because for Jaren, basketball and art share the same rhythm. One moves the body, the other steadies the soul. Even his home design mirrors flow. No sharp corners, just smooth transitions. Every room opens into another like verses in a song. Outside, the infinity pool stretches toward the horizon. At night, it mirrors the stars like a galaxy he built for himself. Alongside it, an open-air lounge dressed in golden lanterns and black velvet is his spot for quiet evenings with close friends and teammates. They talk about life, legacy, and faith. No noise, no chaos, just calm. "Peace is the new luxury," he once said, "but don't mistake peace for plainness." His garage tells another story, sleek, deliberate, yet understated. A matte silver Rolls-Royce Ghost, a Tesla Model X, chosen for its quiet hum of efficiency. And in the back corner, his pride is a restored vintage Camaro, custom painted with one of his own designs. Not for speed, but for meaning. It's more than a car. It's a moving piece of his art. Every car, every detail carries emotion. He doesn't collect, he curates. His house doesn't shout, it hums. Jazz drifts through open corridors. Light bends softly across stone floors. It feels less like a mansion and more like a poem. His wardrobe follows the same principle. Smooth, tailored, intentional. He doesn't chase brands. He collaborates with them. Louis Vuitton, Amiri, Fear of God. But he also uplifts local black designers from Memphis funding and showcasing their work. His fashion tells the story of global taste rooted in community. "I don't wear fashion," he says. "I wear perspective." On game nights, he walks through the tunnel like it's a runway not for attention, but for expression. Every outfit has a mood. Every accessory, a purpose. Rings and chains are minimalist, but meaningful. Because for Jaren, presentation isn't about appearance. It's about energy. He wears peace the way others wear diamonds. When he's home alone, the rhythm slows. Mornings begin with silence and sunlight. Nights end with sound and reflection. He journals, sketches. I play piano. Sometimes he records melodies on his phone, sound sketches. He calls them tiny fragments of emotion to paint or train to later. His life moves like jazz. No script, just soul. And though his home speaks in whispers, its message is loud. Luxury isn't about having more. It's about needing less. Every corner feels earned. Every detail feels like gratitude. He's built a world that doesn't revolve around noise. It revolves around nuance. The softness of his home contrasts the ferocity of his game. And that's the point. Balance. Because the same man who guards the rim like a fortress also paints sunsets in silence. The same player who thrives under arena lights spends hours watching candle flames dance. His mansion, his art, his life, they all share one truth. Greatness doesn't shout. It resonates. He's proof that luxury isn't about possessions. It's about peace. That success isn't about the spotlight. It's about stillness. That real power lies where style meets substance. If you had the chance to build your dream mansion, what would you choose? A studio, a court, or a view? Because for Jaren Jackson Jr., he didn't choose one. He chose all three and turned them into art. When the lights fade and the arena empties, Jaren Jackson Jr. returns to something most stars forget. No cameras, no chaos, just music, brushstrokes, and thought. He's known for his calm, deliberate nature, the kind that doesn't crave the spotlight, but commands it when it finds him. He's a thinker before he's a talker, a man who prefers writing his emotions over sharing them online. Most mornings begin before sunrise yoga, reflection, and journaling. He calls it maintenance for the mind. There are no entourages, no rehearsed routines. He moves with grace, not noise. For Jaren, privacy doesn't escape its energy. He's never been the headline for rumors or scandals. No distractions, no drama, just focus. In a world addicted to exposure, Jaren mastered invisibility. Peace doesn't post itself, it just exists, he once said. And for him, that's the ultimate luxury. Away from basketball, creativity becomes his second heartbeat. His art studio doubles as a refuge. The smell of acrylic, sunlight spilling across half-finished canvases, music low in the background. Each painting is personal, some abstract, others emotional maps of what words can't express. He doesn't paint for galleries. He paints to breathe. For him, creation is therapy, a language for emotions that competition can't translate. Each brushstroke is a quiet conversation with himself, but his art doesn't end on canvas. It flows into sound. Under the nickname Triple J, Jaren produces his own beats, smooth, layered, alive with rhythm. A fusion of hip-hop and jazz, part motion, part meditation. He rarely releases them publicly. Most stay tucked in private playlists, shared only with friends. It's music for the soul, not the spotlight. Creating keeps me human, he says. It keeps me connected. The man who blocks shots before thousands spends nights mixing melodies no one may ever hear. That's what makes him different. He creates not for applause, but for alignment. He loves Memphis. Not just the team, but the texture, the rhythm, the grit, the stories sung in every mural and sax riff. He calls it a city with soul. Here he found grounding a balance between fame and faith. He visits local galleries, small cafes, music lounges not as an NBA star, but as Jaren. He listens, he observes, he learns. Those who know him describe him as present. When he speaks, it's measured. When he listens, it's complete. His circle is small, real, and intentional, built on energy, not attention. Among his closest friends are Ja Morant, Desmond Bain, and a few Memphis creatives. They meditate, paint, and sometimes sit in silence, just watching city lights. He believes in energy, not superstition, but awareness. His rituals are sacred. Morning yoga on the terrace, 3 pages of journaling before breakfast, meditation before every game, and at night, gratitude 5 things, always. He says it's how he keeps his mind uncluttered. In a career built on noise, he finds rhythm in reflection. Still, his solitude doesn't isolate him, it inspires. He's often found at youth centers across Memphis, not as a guest, but as a participant. He paints with the kids, shares music, teaches them how to turn emotion into art. "I don't need people to remember what I gave," he once told a local paper. "I want them to remember how they felt when I showed up." That's the kind of legacy that lingers quiet, but powerful. And when he does step onto a stage, whether court or concert, the energy feels the same. Calm, deliberate, magnetic. He doesn't perform, he presents. Behind the strength and the success lies gentleness, a rare kind. The kind that doesn't need to prove itself, only to be felt. He's proof that power isn't always in volume. Sometimes it's in vision. Because when the crowds fade and the lights shut off, what remains isn't fame, it's faith. Not the trophies or applause, but the quiet understanding that real success is peace of mind. And maybe that's Jaren Jackson Jr.'s greatest win. Not the points, not the titles, but the grace to find serenity in the storm and make it look like strength. In a world obsessed with numbers, points, rebounds, contracts, Jaren Jackson Jr. is quietly rewriting what it means to keep score. For him, greatness isn't measured by trophies, but by transformation. His mission goes beyond basketball. It's about building foundations, both literally and figuratively, for the next generation. They call it the Block Party Foundation, a name with purpose. On the court, Jaren's known for blocking shots. Off it, he's blocking barriers. Through his foundation, he rebuilds community spaces, refurbishes gyms, and creates creative havens for kids who might otherwise have none. Every new hoop, every fresh coat of paint, every kid smiling under that roof, it's all a reflection of something bigger than sport. It's a reflection of the soul. To Jaren, youth empowerment isn't charity, it's continuation. He believes that when the next generation grows stronger, so does the culture. He often says, "We can't just play the game, we have to change it." He doesn't just sign checks, he shows up. He mentors, paints, performs. He's donated artwork anonymously to fund creative programs, paid tuition for underprivileged students, and quietly supported art grants with no press release, just impact. For him, art and activism are 2 sides of the same truth. Both are expressions of care. His work fuses paint and purpose, creativity and community. He often tells young artists and athletes, "You're not limited by what you can score, you're lifted by what you can share." That philosophy fuels his advocacy for mental health, education, and Black creativity. Jaren knows the pressure that comes with fame, the weight of expectation. That's why he speaks about it, breaking stigmas one conversation at a time. He believes strength isn't silence, it's vulnerability. When you're in the league, people see the highlights, he once said. They don't see the nights when you're questioning yourself. That's why I talk about it, because if I can say it, maybe someone else can too. His influence now moves beyond basketball into advocacy, art, and education. He's become a voice for identity and representation, showing what it means to be a young, black creative redefining success on his own terms. He's not just an athlete who paints, he's a painter who happens to play basketball. That dream is shaping his next legacy, an art and sport academy, a space where creativity and athleticism coexist, a place where underprivileged kids can express themselves through paint and play, through rhythm and movement. Imagine it, a court surrounded by murals, classrooms echoing with both beats and bouncing basketballs. He says it's not just about talent, it's about giving kids permission to dream in color, to see themselves not as athletes or artists, but as architects of their own future. Because in his eyes, defense isn't just for basketball, it's for the community. He's blocking out doubt, poverty, fear, protecting spaces where young voices can rise. He's teaching that legacy isn't about being remembered. It's about helping someone else begin. When people look back on Jaren Jackson Jr.'s career, they'll remember the blocks, the highlights, the trophies. But the real story will live in Memphis, in the art rooms he built, the gyms he restored, the minds he inspired. Because even when the lights fade, his purpose stays lit, turning paint into progress and movement into meaning. Legacy isn't what you leave behind, it's what you build while you're here. He didn't just build a mansion, he built a message. In a city once known for its grind, Jaren Jackson Jr. carved out a masterpiece of grace. His $20 million Memphis home isn't just real estate, it's a reflection. Every line of marble, every note from his saxophone, every canvas in his private gallery speaks the same language: purpose. Because for Jaren, success was never just about the scoreboard. It was about balance, between chaos and calm, between competition and creativity, between legacy and life. He doesn't just play the game, he paints it. Every brushstroke carries the rhythm of his journey, the long nights, the pressure, the peace. And every block on the court mirrors a block in his community. Defense as art, protection as purpose. He's not chasing status, he's shaping standards. In a league where fame fades fast, Jaren's story stands apart, not for what he's done, but for what he's building. A future where art, soul, and sport coexist not as luxuries, but as languages of legacy. They say royalty is born, but in Jaren's world, royalty is created through hard work, through humility, through harmony. He's proof that the next era of basketball kings won't just be crowned by championships. They'll be defined by creativity, compassion, and consciousness. As he picks up a brush, the camera pulls back, revealing his world both literal and symbolic. The mansion, the court, the canvas, all connected, all alive. It's more than luxury. It's a legacy in motion. He didn't just master defense, he mastered depth. He didn't just rise, he resonated. And somewhere between paint and play, Jaren Jackson Jr. found peace, the kind that can't be bought, only built. So now we ask you, is Jaren Jackson Jr. redefining what it means to live like a king? Or proving that real royalty is rhythm with purpose? If stories like this move you, subscribe to the Black Empire Files and comment on your favorite Jaren Jackson Jr. moment. This is Black Empire, where rhythm meets royalty, and every story turns success into soul.